if you win tomorrow night, you tied Doc Meanwell for #2 on the wins list here. Knowing how much respect you have for him, what would that mean to you?
Well, I really, the historian that I am, I really appreciate what Doc Meanwell meant to the game of basketball. He was a precision guy. Besides winning championships, it's, you know, people in coaching should be known for things other than how many banners are hanging. So what he brought to the game was, when I said precision, he actually had the dribble taken out of the game because he thought basketball should all be pass and cut, pass and cut. Can you imagine the guys that would struggle with that nowadays without being able to dribble? We have a full court drill that we do where you're only allowed either one dribble or no dribbles. And what it does, it creates a lot of movement away from the ball. And Doc Meanwell was one of those guys who really had his players making the proper cuts, proper reads. He was way ahead of his time. It was the early Princeton offense. But as far as numbers and all that, it's nice to be a part of a program where players can get those kind of numbers, whatever those numbers add up to. And I'll let everybody else decide what those mean. But to be listed with Doc Meanwell for anything, to me, is quite an honor.
Tammy?
You mentioned that you like Jared's defense against Wolford. What does he bring, his factors on defense?
Well, we're going to face bigger teams. Actually, Colgate had a couple bigger players than Wolford, but Wolford's bigs are very good 10, 12 feet in with their drop steps, their counter moves, their screening action, their post-up action, and they're tough to guard because they were quicker than Jared. So I really like the way he moved his feet because that's an area in the past couple of years where he struggled. So when I say I liked something that he did, it was because he positioned himself by using his feet more than some guys tend to make it an upper body game. Basketball is still played with your feet because everything else comes with the feet. And he actually moved his feet a lot better.
What does he need to do to improve offensively?
Just keep taking the shots that he's been getting. He had some really good looks from three. I mean, he's a guy that can shoot from three. In practice, sometimes the people that have watched us practice, they scratch their heads. He'll hit 5 in a row from three. Not that we want him hanging out there all the time, but you know, it's as everybody knows, you watch enough basketball. If you have bigs that can stretch the floor, it can give you a better chance to win, especially against certain teams.
Do you think that he can shoot the three like other UW big men that you've had in the past?
Yeah, you know, he can. If you get a game of horse with him, now you got to do it with the lights on and the clock ticking. So there's a lot of fall Americans out there. Guys in October that can shoot it really well. We like those winter and spring All-Americans.
What is it about this team that's they've gelled so well defensively as a unit? What is it about this group so early in the season they seem to be playing well, all 5 of them together?
Well, I still preface everything I say with maybe the types of teams that you're playing. How much experience do they have? What kind of size do they have? What kind of quickness? But the one thing that doesn't change when the ball's tossed up by the official is how you're going to play the game. So I just like the way they've looked for each other. I like the way they've played off of one another, knowing that things are going to be changing here from the other side of the ball. But things can't change with us. We have to still execute. We still have to get in position. We still have to do what we try to do better than other teams. And there's certain things you have to do in order to give yourselves a chance. So we're still working on that.
Andy?
Well, if memory serves, another question about Doc Meanwell, by the way. He wasn't just a tactical guy, he also had things philosophically about coaching that seemed to be relevant to a lot of people. What did you take most from him? Was it the peripheral stuff or was it the tactical?
Some tactical and some, the other things that you're referring to was how with the players, he was on the cutting edge with things physically. I have a book where he and Newt Rockne got together and talked about how to take care of the body, how to take care of your feet, how to take care of what they referred to as staleness. Basketball's a long season. You're going against the same guys in practice every day. Philosophically, he tried to do some things to take away some of that staleness, some of that kind of the blahs, so to speak. What was that show where somebody had a case of the Mondays? Office Space, or wasn't there a movie? It's like, and that was Meanwell. So you're asking about some things that maybe in some people's minds, like, what is he talking about? He and Rockne were big on the idea that athletes, with their studies, with the work that they have to put in, that they get stale. So every once in a while I tell them a joke. I don't dance for him anymore. Stop that. But there are some things we do during the year to break things up. But that was one of Meanwell's big philosophies. Keep them fresh.
Do you like the format of this Chicago Invitational, 2 games here and then going to Hoffman Estates? And just what do you expect as far as fan support?
Well, I don't know. You know, when you're coaching, that's not something that, when you're going away from home, is something that even pops into your mind. So I couldn't tell you about the fan support. There are people I know that are pretty happy that we're going down there because they can get there. And in these economic times, the fact that if we were playing somewhere else, I've had people say, oh, I'm glad you're going to Chicago because I couldn't go to the Bahamas, I couldn't go to Maui, I couldn't go to Orlando. But 2 games here, and we had one of those when we went to Padre Island a few years ago. Remember what year that was, Ryan? Top of your head. Patrick, you Googling that? But we did. We played 2 games here and then 2 games down in Padre Island. So it is what it is when you sign up for these. You do it years ahead, and you never know who you're going to play. You have no idea. And you just lace them up and go.
Andy?
Boy, you're one of the handful of coaches here who knows what McBurn's feeling right now. Could you clue us in?
I'll tell you, what a fantastic job. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And runners, competitors. They've got a tradition. They've got a rich tradition, and they're playing off of that. They believe in that. And when you have a rich tradition, it's hard to jump ship. It's hard to ever give in. It's hard to not give your best. So the fact that they're getting their picture taken probably right now, holding that trophy, that's pretty good. Having had a chance to experience that, which I know some people think that there's a difference between Division I and III and all that, but I tell you what, you can't tell the players there's a difference. So for players to be the last team standing, for them to be the last team running, nothing better than, especially as a coach, I know what Mick's saying, all their hard work paid off.
Tim?
This is my last Jared Bergen question. Press conference. Has he
You're
developed
not
some...
related, are you?
No. Has he developed some nice post moves?
Yeah, he has. He had a couple. He had a decent feel around the basket, but he's worked at it. He really has. And he really was held back with the shoulder problem, but that shoulder problem's been taken care of. And I think these next 2 years, his last 2 years, he's going to be a good player in the Big Ten, in the country, period.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks, Coach.